and after a significant amount of brute force, very carefully applied.
Does anyone else see a frog? Okay, it's been a while since we've done a video. I had to do a sound check.
Morning, Roy. We're going to do ball joints on the JL here, mostly because we're starting to develop a lot of camber that shouldn't be in the front end, and we're hoping that the new set of ball joints will help correct that camber as well as tighten things back up. We've got about 50,000 miles on this Jeep with oversized tires. It's not that uncommon for the OE ball joints to give up prematurely because of the extra loading that happens. So if I zero this to something we think is nearly vertical versus checking it against the inner, right now we're showing 1.6 degrees cambered in, and so we'll check that when we're done and see if it's any better.
This shop puppy wants to come in and play. Should we let him?
So it's not often I get to drive this, and I did get a chance to drive it the other day, and it wobbles along across the road almost as bad as Penny. Now Penny, she has a soft suspension, no front sway bar. Kenneth is saying that that's in massive part due to these failing ball joints. I've never felt this thing wander that bad. And mind you, I've only driven this like 6 times in the entire time that Kenneth has owned it. So, so that experience tells me that, yeah, something is definitely off.
Kenneth found these hooks for hanging the brake calipers, which is really, really cool.
We've got some teardown we need to do to replace the ball joints on this one. And while we've got the ball joints apart, we're going to go ahead and replace the knuckles. So Roy's working on the brake caliper. That's got to come off. We're going to need to take the steering linkage off the knuckle. We're going to need to then remove the knuckle. Although before we can remove the knuckle, we will need to pull the half shaft, which means pulling the unit bearings on the back side. And then repeat the same process on the other side of the Jeep since we're doing both sets.
Kenneth, why are you replacing the knuckles?
So these are the factory JL aluminum knuckle, which has a reputation for failing, cracking, splitting. It's a case of once I've already got it off, it's as easy to put on a new part as it is to put on an old part. So nothing wrong with these. They're working. They're, as far as we know, they're servicing fine. But while I have them off, it's an easy opportunity to upgrade.
And Roy, you already went to Reed's on red.
Yeah, and we could put a link to that, to the video where I did all this work on red, and I did it before I had problems with ball joints. But this is what happens if you don't do that ahead of time.
Or it could be worse. You could be on the trail with a broken knuckle.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Yeah, this knuckle isn't broken yet, but the ball joints.
The ball joints are a wear part.
Yeah.
And so this was a case of I hadn't had a reason to take it apart, so use the factory part until it's due for replacement.
Right.
But
Two different strategies. They both work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's mostly because I wanted to put the truss on the axle early.
Right.
And as long as everything was apart, like, why not do it then?
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah,
that's so much better than a zip tie.
Oh, I like that.
I mean,
You got them on Amazon?
They're just planter hooks, right?
Planter?
Yeah, for holding.
Good health.
Aww.
Oh, there you go. So,
I got a bit of life left there.
worn, but yeah, still you can see there's quite a bit of life left in them.
Not time to go to power stops yet.
Not yet.
You want to come over on this side where you can see what I'm doing?
Just go.
Oh, it actually got it?
Eventually, taking off the caliper brake bracket, It's 2 bolts here on the back side of the knuckle, 21 or 13/16. This is a bolt that's got a fair amount of torque to it, so it either a big lever or... Okay, so we're in here on the back side of the knuckle. Just finish taking the bracket off and catch the bracket when it falls. Over here on the driver's side, we see that we've got a case where this outer sheathing that's on the brake line has been caught, torn, and is now damaged. This is the kind of thing you look for when you're working on it. Doesn't look like it's into the inner brake line at all, but we'll want to apply some additional protection over this in the future. But yeah, some rubbing or whatever has abraded this outer line.
And maybe replace it with a steel braided
Possibly a steel braided or extended line
something.
in the future. Also, as a note, it is possible to remove the caliper bracket without having to remove the caliper from the bracket. So just possibly one less step on disassembly.
Okay, so next step is to take the calipers off. Not calipers, rotors. That's the caliper, that's the rotor. There's this little T30 Torx bolt that holds the rotor on, and I need an extra set of hands. So since this is free spinning, this doesn't want to turn unless you have somebody keeping the whole thing from turning. Okay, so just a little retaining bolt. There's a little goop on it, so it didn't come out real easy. I had to use the ratchet the whole time, but yeah, and all it does is just hold it in place. It doesn't actually, it's not structural.
I've not taken this apart before.
Okay.
You're standing over there.
So this has never been off in the 50,000 miles. There's a little bit of corrosion that holds it in place, makes it difficult to get out. Can you be ready to catch just in case it goes flying?
Yep.
And can you kind of rotate a little bit as we go? Oh, this is a bad angle.
Using a soft-faced hammer to try to break the corrosion.
And it is moving a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of stiction.
Yep. And so when we put this, actually, you can even see the dust.
Oh, yeah.
The powder and the dust in here.
Stuff there. And you can see a little bit of corrosion.
Yep. So we put this back together. We'll do some anti-seize and keep it from grabbing.
Yep. Okay, so the next step we're going to do is we're going to take the entire, whatchamacallit?
Axle half shaft.
Well, the shaft has to come out, but the unit bearing also has to come out. Now, since we are not replacing the shafts, we're not going to undo this nut. We're going to take the unit bearing and the shaft as one unit and pull it out.
Yep.
And can you get the...
I'll get an Allen key and a 10 millimeter.
One very important thing. 13 millimeter 12-point socket. A regular 6-point wrench will not work. You have to have a 12-point. It's really annoying, but it's good to know ahead of time.
And important to have that in your trail kit because unit bearings and axle shafts are things you have to pull in the field.
So one of the things I'm running into using a ratchet, the stud sticking out of the ball joint is in the way and doesn't let me get at the bolt head very easily. So I'm using a 12-point 13 millimeter wrench to get at it. Oh, come on. Okay.
So the Allen is a 5 millimeter, and then you just want to work your sensor out. It's held in with an O-ring, and so there's a little bit of want to stay.
More stiction.
More stiction.
Yep.
In place as it wants to come up. But you want to be careful on this, not yank the wire out or break the sensor in the process, because then you get to go buy a new sensor. And the question is always, is it easier to just disconnect it? But I don't know how far back on the harness we'd have to go to find the connector.
Well, it goes all the way up to the frame and beyond.
Yeah. There we go. And there it's out, and we see a little O-ring that actually sits in a groove, and so it is well retained.
And this is just an ordinary 13 millimeter.
To remove the keeper.
To remove
holds
the
that
keeper.
Cable out of the way of getting damaged.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that this keeper gets in the way when you're putting the ball joints on and off. And so you undo that bolt.
Just an intricately piece of fashioned wire that you don't want to bend.
That actually works for my purposes too.
Okay. Now when you're removing these bolts, it's really tight right at the end, but as soon as you kind of break the bolt loose, it gets easy to turn real fast. And so yeah, I mean, just not even a full turn and I can pull it by just one finger. Okay, so this side is disassembled. We got all the pieces off. The knuckle does have to be straight to the axle to get the shaft to come out, but Kenneth is still disassembling the other side, and I will help him, and then we'll take the axle shafts out. Doink.
Butterfingers.
So you can see the bottom of the stud sticking out here and how it interferes with the ratchet head. If you do turn the knuckle enough and pick up the extension that you dropped, you put an extension on it, you can get fully onto the bolt and bypass that stud. Okay, so now that both sides are disassembled, we need to straighten up these knuckles, and maybe a little bit more.
Maybe a little more?
Yeah, okay. And it could just be that the steering's off, but so the knuckles have to be straight so that the shafts can come out, because the hole is only just big enough to get the U-joint through, and if the knuckle is turned at all, it'll bind up. Hang on. I'm doing this left-handed. Am I seeing any movement? I don't know that I am. Actually, I think I am. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing movement. But we can also use slide hammer.
More than one way to do this, but given that's coming out pretty easy, this
should work.
less awkward than the other. Just like that.
Oh, before we get too far, with the axle level, there's a very good chance that
We'll see some drippage.
we'll see some fluid coming out. So have a drain pan ready for it. If you're doing this in your driveway and not on a lift, and you lift just one side, you can point the axle tube up, and that'll keep all the fluid inside the axle.
All right, now with any luck, this just slides straight out. And we have an axle. Note this is a disconnect axle, so you have this pin or pilot pin that comes into the other, and we do see that this is greasy clear out to here. This is where the inner seal sits. All right, so now we need to remove these factory cover pins.
Well, look at that. Roy knew what he was talking about.
Once in a while, I do.
I mean, I had to explain the faint sound of peeing in the background.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. Okay, that's gone.
Next up is bolt, 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 and bolt.
21, 21, 22. They couldn't be the same size.
Kenneth managed to break his needle nose pliers pulling off the cotter pins over on the other side.
So really needs to be a deep socket because the stud's hanging down. And it's actually not that tight. It doesn't take a lot of force. Yeah, I think I don't know what the torque spec is. I think it's like 30 or 50 foot-pounds or something like that. We'll get the actual value when we got to put it back together. So doing this, I'm ending up turning the knuckles, and Kenneth is working the other side, so I'm going to wait until he's ready.
He's ready.
He's ready. And again, not super tight, but this is a nylock nut, and so you can't spin it with your fingers until the nylon part is off the threads. All right, so now that I've got all these loose, I'm leaving the nuts on specifically for a reason, and that is so that when we break the joint loose, because they're tapered, when we break the joint loose, if I leave the nut on, it'll catch whatever I'm trying to remove and keep it from falling off and hitting things and being a nuisance.
So it's easier to remove the steering linkage while it's attached to something solid because it's going to require a little persuasion. In this case, we've actually got something on top of these that is not threaded. And so we can actually apply force directly to the ball joint to try to pop this loose. Normally, if you've got threads here, you don't want to hit those with a hammer. Let's see if it'll pop easy.
That popped easy.
Yep.
Yay, it popped easy. And yeah, you want to take this one off first, the tie rod, and then the drag link then has room to move. Put the nuts back on a little bit, just so you don't lose them. And then the knuckle is sitting there free and ready to come out.
So now we want to release the knuckle from the ball joint, which is another tapered joint, just like the steering linkage here. This is a aluminum knuckle, so it's kind of on the soft side. We don't really want to smash on it too hard, even though I've got replacements. But the idea is to shock and pop it loose.
And if I remember right, taking the knuckles off of mine, even low mileage, they were really on there and took a bit to pop it loose.
They're supposed to be on there.
Yeah.
This is where you potentially would get involved in things like a pickle fork or other things we'll see what this does.
Yeah. Oh, hit it like it owes you money. There you go.
And you can see, do a little bit of deformation on the knuckle where we hit it. Nothing structural, but you can see that it's been beat on.
Here, give me the nut.
So noteworthy, there's an insert here that is loose.
Yes.
Butterfingers.
And it drops out easily. The purpose of this is, so if you look at it real close, you can see there's a bunch of numbers stamped in it. And what they do at the factory is they measure with precision instruments the knuckle and the axle, and then they use this insert, and it's a little easier to see here. You can see how the hole in the middle is a little bit offset. What that does is it sets the caster and camber of the knuckle to the axle without having to have all this adjustment. This is the piece that does that.
And where you notice that it's split, it's open. As the tapered end of the ball joint is tightened down, it will cause us to expand and tightens up that fit in the housing. So,
Yeah, and it only fits in one way.
yeah, it's keyed in here.
It's keyed.
Verify what I had here, because I had this in the first one's back. Okay, this is the new ball joint. We opted for the Teraflex units. These are a heavy-duty metal-on-metal, should last, for all intents and purposes, the lifetime of the vehicle. They are not a rebuildable unit, but they are an adjustable. And so you can continue to add preload as the metal-on-metal wears down to keep the ball joints tightened up. But yeah, once these serve their life, they are done. But these should last much longer than the OEs did. I opted, I mean, it's always a compromise between what you spend and what you don't. There are fully rebuildable units out there, like the Metalcloak Ballers, that are very nice ball joint, but they come at a price tag that is 2 to 3x the price of these. I can replace 2 or 3 of these on what is essentially a daily driven Jeep and be fine. Also the question about ball joint deletes, again, for me personally, not on a daily driven vehicle. All right, so now we need to work our way, get those out.
Okay, so factory new ball joints are very stiff. I should not be able to do this with one finger. This ball joint is done. Probably gonna pop here. Okay, there it goes. So this is why you take the upper one out first, because the ball joint tool
It needs that space.
needs that space. Okay.
And you'll note, all we are doing here is basically applying pressure to the ball joints to cause them to slide out. This is why the JLs have a reputation for having ball joints become dislodged on the trail. They're not retained in the vehicle except by weight and friction. Mind you, it's a good-sized lever and a lot of friction.
And if you don't own one of these ball joint presses, they're available readily at pretty much any parts store, either on loan or on rent.
Yeah. You'll need more than the base simple one that you get at Harbor Freight. As you can see here, we've got a different ball joint kit that goes with the base kit. It just has many more adapters. We are going to end up using one this tall in order to have a little space above the ball joint when we're pressing it in, because there's some grease zerks that we don't want to accidentally flatten. But yeah, so this kit has more options, more pieces available. So yeah, at this point, Kenneth has come through with some brake clean, and we've just cleaned up everything, and I'm going to use some just regular old anti-seize. And inside,
Is this a normal step for ball joints?
it's an optional step. It does two things. One is that it keeps the two things from rusting together. It also lubricates the hole so that it makes it easier to put the ball joint in. It goes in with a little less effort.
This is a lower ball joint. We know it's a lower because it's got an L on the end of the shaft. This needs to go in with the raised grease passage towards the axle.
So these,
Yep, one. So it needs to go in this orientation with the grease passages towards the axle.
okay, so between the two kits, I have gotten all the pieces I need. And so I've got the cap here, which has the smaller hole in it with the very short raised portion, or the very short cylinder there. What that's going to do is it's going to sit here, and then this one I've got just the regular adapter and the wide hole end piece so that the shaft of the ball joint will stick through. And what we will do is we'll put it in and get that, and you need to unscrew a little further, but our ball joint press threads are a little messed up, so stand by. Okay, and you can see the grease zerks are pointing to the inside of the axle, and so what that does is it gives you access to grease. It makes it a little easier to get in and apply the grease. If you are using RCV shafts, having these point this way will actually hit the boot on the RCV shaft. And if you see our other video, you can get a good look at that. And so if you have RCV shafts, you need to ignore what the directions say and rotate them around. Rotate this around 180 degrees so the grease zerks are pointing that way. It's a little harder to grease, but it'll keep them from hitting the RCV boot.
Tearing up the RCV boot.
I think I remember that in the RCV instructions.
Could be. Okay.
Something's tightened up. Okay, that's more threads.
Yeah.
I think we're past them now. There we go.
Yeah.
What we're going to do is tighten this up until the flange here is seated.
And it's absolutely imperative you do not want to use an impact wrench to do this, because you can break things and they go pieces go flying everywhere. You really want to do this by hand, and it helps to have somebody watching while somebody's tightening, so that you know that yes, you are fully seated, or no, you're not there yet,
And that it's going in straight.
right.
This is going to rotate.
We are a little bit crooked, but, well, actually, no. Okay, so the bottom of this C is not, the two ends or the top and the bottom are not parallel. So, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and turn it so that this comes around, and rather than trying to hold that, it'll go up against the steering stop. Okay. And this is a friction fit, so it takes a lot of effort to get this in.
Okay, you give it a yank.
Switch places?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Here. Oh. We've almost got it all the way in. It was going in very slightly crooked. We decided to keep going, and after a significant amount of brute force, very carefully applied. We're about to have it be where it needs to be to sit, and so as I tighten it by hand, it'll all of a sudden get really tight, and that's the way you know it's seated.
Visually, you can verify that the flange is tight.
And so you come in with a good light, and you can see, yes, it's touching. So it's in. Okay, here we are in. If you'll notice, we didn't quite get it as straight as we wanted. And there's a little bit of gunk and anti-seize, and we're just going to clean it off. So if you look, you can see the groove for the C-clip is visible on here, but since it's tapered, it's almost flush here, and so you don't put a C-clip on this side. We will put a C-clip up on the top because it is flat.
This is an upper because it has a U on the end of the shaft. When this one installs, it'll be oriented with the grease zerks away from the axle.
And this is a symphony of moving parts that all has to happen. And this is basically the same as...
Second verse, same as the first. Check to see if our C-clip is exposed. Or if our
Yeah.
So with the upper installed, we come in, we do a little bit of cleanup. But what we're looking for is this C-clip groove here to be flush so that we can get the C-clip in to retain this upper ball joint. This is an improvement over the OE because this is now retained and can't be pushed out once the C-clip is installed.
Does anyone else see a frog?
A little bit, yeah.
Ribbit, ribbit.
Or did Kenneth throw it?
No, he did that. That was great.
Hi, Papa. Hi, Dad.
Some of the anti-seize off.
Clean, clean, clean.
A nice big snap ring pliers for a nice big snap ring. And just like that. It's nice having the right tool. Now while we have access, we're going to go ahead and install the Zerk into each of the grease passages.
Giving the frog eyes. Like surprised frogs. Like frog saw something he shouldn't have. You never know what goes on in that pond at night.
Especially with you involved.
Woo!
And once they're started, we come back with a
32nd.
Yeah, it's a 9/32. And just snug them down.
Yeah, you want to get them snug, but not too tight because it's small threads and they will strip if you over tighten them.
Just like that. Now we're ready to install a knuckle. Yeah, much better. It does say that it is a passenger side knuckle. So we opted for the Synergy knuckle rather than the Reed or the OE steel knuckle, mostly for price. Synergy had a sale at the time I was buying these that made these quite a bit less expensive than the other options. And that is the heavy piece of cast material that is our passenger side knuckle. So side by side, now we will need to transfer the bushing from the top.
And it comes with a steering stop to match this steering stop. Like that.
There we go. All right. We're going to transfer this bushing from the old passenger to the new passenger.
Thank you, Tristan.
All right, reinstalling the knuckle is kind of the reverse of taking it apart. So we'll go ahead and just thread this up.
And don't lose your
Insert. Okay.
And a nut.
And a nut. And that should be now a torque to spec, right?
Yeah, and it might be in a couple of stages.
So according to the Teraflex directions, 15 foot-pounds on the lower, followed by 55 on the upper, followed by 33 on the lower.
Yeah. And it says, go ahead and put a cotter pin in. How are you on the hole?
Just so happens that one lines up.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen often that way, but
Once in a while you get lucky. And then 3-3.
Why are you taking that off, Kenneth?
okay. So Synergy includes this washer in the kit in case when you put the castle nut on, you're below the hole.
Or the hole is below the nut.
Yeah. So that provides basically a spacer to ensure that when we torque this down, that the cotter pin will engage the castellated nut.
And just a hair tighter.
Yeah.
One cotter pin.
Like so.
Viola.
Now we just need to reattach steering linkage.
Yep. And actually what?
I was going to say, do we want to do that before we put the axle in, or we want to put the axle in first?
Dealer's choice.
I'm going to say let's go ahead and put the axle in, because then we can move this.
Yeah. So it's been sitting on the floor. No reason to get any of that dirt
Inside the axle.
into the axle.
We want to make sure that we engage the splines and that center nub.
Yeah. And it basically won't seat all the way unless it's fully engaged. And rotate that. Is that... So, I think this has to be here for the wire. Oh, and do we want to put anti-seize on it?
Yes, and yes. Okay. I did it once, so I can do it again, right?
Yeah. In theory.
And we're home.
Yeah.
So that implies that we should have engaged properly with the nubs on the other end. Anti-seize? Actually, for these it should be Loctite. Oh, 12-point socket, 75 foot-pounds. And we're going to do the same to the other two.
Yeah, it's easier to turn the knuckle.
So this is our drag link. All right, and then 47 foot-pounds on these.
And that's a nylock, and it's a 21 millimeter. Let me get this out.
All right, so we finished putting this back together. 47 foot-pounds on the steering linkage bolts, 148 on the caliper bracket bolt,
27.
27 on the slide pin on that. The rest of this is just a put it back together that is the reverse of the disassembly, and bolt it back up, and then repeat the whole process on the other side of the Jeep to finish out the ball joints and steering knuckle upgrade. As always, if you like what we do, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Thank you.
Well, hopefully you can hear me over the wind noise, but I have brought Blue to the Edge Automotive. Blue is going to get a full 8 control arm alignment, the big one. It's the first one it's really had since the Game Changer went on and K-Motion did it. K-Motion actually is a partner of Edge, but Edge has recently gotten their own deluxe alignment rack for four-wheel drive, oversized vehicles, that sort of thing, custom builds, all that. So we're going to make use of that and put it in Chris's very capable hands, and I will come back and pick it up later. And I do mean pick it up. I actually trailered it here. Yeah, it's drivable, but Kenneth is out of the country right now, so yeah, I'm taking care of business myself. Definitely the place you want to come to if you've got custom work to do in the Denver area. Look at all the partners they work with. And in fact, JCR, that was actually the very first purchase I ever made from Edge. Penny's fenders and rock sliders are JCR. Well, the front ones now anyway. Rear ones are now Metalcloak. But I actually purchased them through here. They were shipped here to Edge, and we picked them up and installed them so many years ago. I didn't get to stick around, but Chris sent me some shots of it on the rack, and then it earned its typical glamour shot from Edge. Thank you so much, Edge folks. Love ya.